With Trial of the Grand Crusader and Phase 3 of Wrath Classic now well underway, thoughts turn towards the final goal of the expansion, the culmination that we have been working towards since the transport to Northrend was made available, the final assault upon Icecrown Citadel deep within Icecrown to take on the Lich King himself, and the rest of the final phases content too, I suppose. Today I'm going to be covering what to expect from Phase 4 of Wrath Classic, what will be new, and things to consider in advance of this phase. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, Call of Dragons. Call of Dragons is a multiplayer fantasy game available on PC that combines elements of building, exploration, and real-time strategy. Call of Dragons features a whole host of different game modes in one, ranging from solo PvE quests, all the way to joining forces with members of your faction in huge 40 versus 40 or 80 versus 80 guild versus guild fights, where you pit your behemoths against one another. These fights are as huge on scale as they are collaborative, with each person having a part to play, from the defensive front line all the way to the marksman at the back of the formation. The land of Tamaris itself is huge and features tons of different biomes, from mountains, rivers, tundras, valleys, and loads more. Each different landscape has its own challenges and sets the stage for strategic decision making. Call of Dragons has strategy-based gameplay that goes a lot deeper than simply who has the highest number. You can isolate enemy supply lines, lay traps in wait, and deploy your forces strategically. This world is also home to many fantasy races, including elves, treants, celestials, wyverns, and many more, each of which have their own benefits and can be valuable assets in your fighting force. Beyond that, there's the opportunity to build up your own fantasy city according to your preferences, such as the elves favouring magical spires or the spiked huts and dwellings of orcs. If you want to try out all this and much more for free, download Call of Dragons by clicking the link below or by scanning the QR code on screen on your mobile. Many thanks to Call of Dragons for the sponsor today. Let's get back to WoW. So let's do the big one first. As per usual, the new raid, Icecrown Citadel. Located deep within Icecrown, this bastion of the damned has been a visible threat right from day one of the expansion, which is kind of cool when you think about it. I mean, how many WoW expansions have the final raid there to see right from the very start? Not that many that I can think of. Anyways, as far as raiding goes in Wrath of the Lich King, the two big points of interest to look forwards to were Ulduar and ICC. I think we had about 22 resets of Ulduar being current content, so I'm inclined to think that most of us got our fill of that, but ICC will be providing its whole own experience, including memorable bosses, new tier sets, amazing trinkets, and much more. Similar to Trial of the Grand Crusader, ICC also uses the heroic raiding format, where you can toggle encounters between difficulties as you go. Note that back in the day you had to have cleared normal mode Lich King before you could start heroic, as well as several other restrictions which prolong the raid's duration massively. I have a video where I talk about all these changes if you want to hear more on them, but we'll have to wait and see what Blizzard does. This patch will also bring a new reputation into the game, the Ashen Verdict. As you progress your reputation with them, you will unlock powerful new craftable items for both your boots and legs. Hunters will also get a new tier of ammo, with the arrows needing Gnomish engineering and the bullets Goblin engineering. At Friendly, you also unlock a ring, which you can further upgrade as you hit each new reputation milestone. At Exalted, this ring gives both a useful proc, has a gem slot, and is 277 item level. That's the same as Heroic 25, so pretty much every specialization in the game will be using their ring, and if your guild is really keen, they're probably even going to have you doing trash farming for reputation and for various drops up to Marigar. ICC also has a new boss drop, similar to Runed or Crusader Orbs. For this tier, it's called Primordial Saronite. Primordial Saronite is both used to buy and craft the leg and boot slot items from the Ashen Verdict vendor. Players looking to forge their own Shadowmourne are also going to need 25 of this item to progress a part of the quest. Alternatively, you can buy a Primordial Saronite for 23 Emblems of Frost, which will be the new emblem that comes with the patch. Kind of goes without saying, Primordial Saronite is going to be really expensive, pretty much forever in Wrath of the Lich King. but especially early on into the patch. And the main reason are those chasing Shadowmourne. There's a big bottleneck part of the quest where you need to farm an RNG drop, Shadowfrost shards from bosses, and you want to get onto that stage as soon as possible, which means you need to have done the quest step involving gathering 25 Primordial Serenite as soon as possible as well. The way tier gear is distributed changes once again in ICC2 because Blizzard sure love changing how raiding works and how loot is given out during this expansion. The base item level 251 version of your tier is bought using emblems of Frost. These come from your daily heroic, ICC bosses, probably the new Titan Rune dungeon, Vault of Archivon, and so on. From there you will need a Mark of Sanctification alongside the base item to upgrade it to its 264 version. Unlike trophies of the Crusade, these Marks of Sanctification have class restrictions once again. They also only drop in 10-man heroic or 25-man normal from the end of wing bosses, so Deathbringer Sourfang, Professor Putricide, Blood Queen Lanathel, Syndragosa, and the Lich King. After that you need a heroic Mark of Sanctification to upgrade your tier piece to its final item level 277 version. These drop on the same bosses but on 25 heroic only. At least this is how it worked back in the day. We'll see if Blizzard change anything. This tier gear is incredible for everyone. It tends to have really good set bonuses, and more or less every single Basilisk I've looked at involves this tier, so these tokens are going to be super high in demand. In other raiding news, there is actually one more mini raid late on into the expansion that will be coming at some point after ICC is out. Probably. Who knows when Blizzard will release it, but that is the Ruby Sanctum. It's right next to where the Obsidian Sanctum is beneath Wormrest Temple. It's really just a simple one boss raid that was there to tie players over during the year-long wait between ICC releasing originally and Cataclysm dropping. It does however have some very nice items that will certainly be helping your raid out with many valuable upgrades. And not to forget, there will be a new boss in the Vault of Archivon, Toravon, the Ice Watcher. He will drop tier 10 gloves and legs, as well as Relentless Gladiator PvP items. Remember, everyone is going to need their base tier gear in order to later upgrade it, so class runs of this latest boss should be done for sure. Alongside ICC will be 3 new dungeons, which both have normal mode and heroic mode difficulties. There is also a short quest line as you progress each one, giving you a bit of backstory on the situation leading up to Icecrown Citadel. These are the Forge of Souls, the Pit of Sauron, and the Halls of Reflection. They drop item level 219 gear on normal and 232 on heroic, so not bad catch-up gear for alts. There will also be a rare chance to find a battered hilt on trash mobs in the heroic dungeons. This is a tradable item which should fetch a solid price throughout the expansion, because at the end of the quest line you get a guaranteed item level 251 weapon, as well as just for the experience of doing the quest itself. Back in the day, players would often farm the starting area in the Pit of Sauron for this, as there is a ton of trash to get through there. It may even be a decent gold farm if you're lucky enough to see a couple drops. As for what to invest in for this final phase of the expansion, it's pretty much just going to be the standard items that people need for raiding above everything else. Flasks are already super cheap due to an abundance of materials in the game, and DPS potions tend to be a bit more expensive, so whether it's wild magic haste or anything else, it's always worth stocking up on some more of those. Enchants for future gear is never a bad shout either. It's good when you get an upgrade to be able to equip it straight away, and with you handing in your previous tier item to upgrade it, you're going to be getting through a lot of different materials here. Don't forget about the items for upgrading engineering tinkers, belt buckles, leg armors, Saronite bombs, all that good stuff. The new Hunter ammo requiring Honoured with the Ashen Verdict is very cheap to make. It just needs 2 Crystallized Shadow or Crystallized Earth per craft, so just buy and downgrade a couple of Eternals and that should really sort you out for a while. But the item that is going to set most people back the most gold will still be, in my opinion, Epic Gems. I am kind of surprised they've kept such a high price. It's one of those rare occasions where everyone hoards an item because they know it's going to go up in value, the patch day comes, and the item actually does keep going up in value. Especially Titanium ore for prospecting has been way better than expected. Cardinal Rubies, that's the red gems, are around 280 to 300 gold average across EU and NA at the moment. The price of this gem should dip somewhat into Phase 3, but should be right back up alongside ICC releasing. Alongside Phase 3, I've personally been running 3 Transmute Master Alchemists, and creating a Cardinal Ruby for me costs under 100 gold, and if I get lucky you can proc up to 5 extra gems. I'd say it's worth looking into doing this, but I expect the cost of leveling alchemy to cap might make it difficult to be profitable for for a long time. Otherwise, titanium ore seems to be very much back on the menu, or you can always trade in emblems or honor for gems. Oh, and by the way, you can exchange 30 Stonekeeper shards for 2000 honor at your faction vendor in Wintergrasp, and then you can trade mixed color gems for 10k honor or a single color gem for 20k. If you don't need to buy anything else with these Stonekeeper shards, which you've probably just been passively accumulating, this might be a good idea to look into. There will of course be the final PvP season dropping for Wrath Classic, that being Season 8, with the very appropriately named Wrathful Gladiators PvP sets. This will be the final chance to get rewards for PvPing in Wrath, with the usual on offer, such as titles and a mount. Other than that, there will be a new vendor added in Dalaran called Frozo the Renowned, just outside the engineering shop. He will trade in frozen orbs for various items, including Eternals, Runed Orbs, Frozen Orbs, and more. I guess it's a way to get rid of your excess frozen orbs, but at this point, probably just putting them on the auction house is going to get you more gold. This final patch was also when the Dungeon Finder was originally added to Wrath of the Lich King as well, an addition which, to my surprise, we are still without. It's kinda crazy, we have the WoW token now, but not the LFD. These things exist together in the same timeline. It would almost be stranger if Blizzard did decide to put it in the game now after all this time, right towards the final patch. Still, we have not heard any change of opinion from Blizzard on the LFD, so it may be the case where this expansion feature will remain missing from Wrath Classic. And to end this off, a little word for the future, and that's to consider what to do with your excess emblems. So currently in Wrath, I don't know about you, but the old emblems are kind of just free epic gem upgrades. Of course, in ICC, we're going to need a bunch more gems as you upgrade your gear, but beyond that, things change in the future. Now, of course, we don't know what Blizzard are going to be doing here. We don't even have Cataclysm confirmed yet, but originally emblems and various other currencies were streamlined down significantly with the expansion to either gold, honor, or the new currencies, justice and valor points. So it will either be a choice of cashing in your emblems for gold during Wrath, assuming there is some form of justice point cap that you can start Cataclysm with, which will allow you to buy about 2 items early on, or you just play as normal, you get what you get, and any excess justice points will be converted into gold anyway. And that is about it for Phase 4, the final phase of Wrath Classic. I'm most interested to see how Blizzard roll out ICC. If the Sunwell from TBC was any indication though, they're probably just going to let us have at it day one. Also, ICC will definitely be a return to a big raid night. This place is huge compared to, well, pretty much any raid we've done so far. And you better believe it has a lot more trash than Ulduar did. And the item level and DPS jump in this tier will be massive as well, so it should be a lot of fun. Anyways, anything else I missed off the patch, do drop it down below. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.